All right, guys. We are alive and in stereo. What's up, everyone? Welcome to. Whoops. Take two. Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to the Classic WoW subreddit AMA with the Classic WoW dev team. It's happening today, and I thought that it would be nice to be able to go over it with you. So if you guys want to check it out and to be on the same page as me, here is the URL, or you can just go into Reddit and into the /r/classicwow subreddit, and it's going to be in the first links up there. So let's get started. Hey everyone, today we're excited to introduce it, which should be a fantastic game with the wonderful World of Warcraft Classic dev team. Oh yes. They will be taking your questions about anything, be it which class you enjoy playing the most, or all the way how to develop the wonderful world and we all be inhabiting in under a week. Joining us today we have Altruist WoW, the executive producer, Kromsky, the senior game designer, Pazarax, the lead software engineer, Ongroans, the senior software engineer, Zoid WoW, principal software engineer, Agrand, senior test lead, and Kvax, the man, the myth, the legend, the community manager that has been bringing us all this wonderful information. So, the AMA begins at 1700 GMT, so that's 13. Okay, I'm quite a little bit late on this one, but it doesn't really matter. We'll have a good amount of questions already answered for us. And will last 2 hours. Okay, so it started at 1. Okay, so it's already done, but it doesn't matter. We'll go over it together. So 2 hours before the AMA begins, so we can all get here and get posting questions, okay? We look forward to blah 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 blah. Please remember the rules as per the sidebar and have fun. The game is now over. To look at each respawn by each blue. I've been here today. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. From Kvax, hello, blah blah. We're gathering up in the same room. Okay. So now let's get going with the questions. Will servers be brought down at some point before release, or will players be able to sit at character select waiting for Enter World to activate? Very good question indeed, because I think there's a lot of people that are going to be ready in game just to wait for the button to activate and to spam it to be the first one to get into the servers. Especially on the big ones like Herod and whatnot. Speaking of Herod, there's some changes to the server that I will be playing on, so I'll get back to this a little bit later. But unfortunately, I won't stay on Herod, but more on that later. So senior software engineer says we are likely to perform some kind of realm restart or maintenance between now and launch. Okay, that's expected. However, in the minutes leading up to the launch, our plan is that the realms will be up and available and Enter World button will instantly light up once we're launched. Quite interesting. Our plan is that the realms will be up and running and available and the Enter button will instantly light up once we're launched. That is nice. So that means that we will be able to be in game. And we will more than likely be able to enter the world as soon as they open. So that's obviously something very nice. Thank you. I was already going to gamble on this being the case, but good to have it confirmation. I wonder if queues will start hours before launch. You all know the answer to that question. Yeah, seriously. On the big servers, like Herod and whatnot. Actually, I'm just going to talk about it right now because the subject presents itself and I don't want to forget it. But for the ClassicWow.live community, at least most of them that I've talked to, I don't know if it's the case for 100% of the community, but we will be rolling on another server because, like we are discussing here, I mean, the queues are going to be absolutely crazy, especially in the first days, the first week. the first month basically. I mean, we don't want to sit in there just waiting like 1 hour just to getting on launch day, because that's going to be, it's just going to be hell. I mean, we're not going to be able to enjoy our experience as much, so we are not going to play on Herod, even though that was the big hype at first. But we will be running, we will be going on Scaram, which is an eastern realm for of a PvP server, obviously. So I already had my name reserved. I deleted all the other names that I had on the other servers. I know the original plan was going to be Herod, Thalnos, and then Fairbanks. But I think that Herod is still full. Thalnos is full as well, I think, and then Fairbanks is already high pop, so we just wanted to make sure that the queue times would not be a problem and that we would be able to enjoy our experience. So we will be running on Scaram, which is still a low population server from the last time that I've checked. And I might just share it with you real quick here. I'm going to be able to share with you the Discord link. Here we go. So I'll just share it in the chat with you. If you ever want to join the Discord or the server, you are more than welcome to join. To never expire. Why is it hidden? Anyways, okay, just a moment here. So here we go. If you ever want to go into the Discord of the Scaram server, if you want to make it your home, because it will be our home, you are more than welcome to join. And from the last time I checked, I can see if there's a poll for you guys, because the last time I checked one of the poll, it was still pretty close to 50-50 population. So there's no real big class faction imbalance, because that's very not fun to play on a server that is dominated by one faction, even if you're on the faction that is dominating. I mean, the point of being on a PvP realm is to be able to do some world PvP and to have a lot of fun. If you're like winning every time, it's kind of taking the fun out of it. So yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit hard to go and get, but if ever you want to go, you can check it, or I can link it later, because I don't want to take too much time for that. But yeah, the round pop is pretty much 50-50 at that point, or maybe like 45-55 depending on when I checked. So it will be a very nice server. And welcome to the 3 people watching right now. So we are going over the AMA of the classic WoW dev team. That is over, but we still go over the question. So, would also like to know the answer to this. I don't think it's... Okay, I think we skipped something. No. Okay. I'm not really used to Reddit, but okay. UKVax, are you going to compile the questions that were answered in their answer after this and the DMA ends by chance? It would be quite useful for new to arrive after it ends. Okay, in the WoW forums. Oh, okay, we could also be checking it on the WoW forums. Is it up already? Twinking glass. No. A new one? Neither. Maybe in the top ones. No. Okay, we'll just keep it on Reddit. Do you have a contingency plan to deal with the larger than expected population? This is a very big problem, even though they kind of addressed it with 2 new realms, Blomer, PvP Pacific time zone, and then Scaram, which is going to be our realm, a PvP Eastern time zone. I mean, it's a step in the right direction, but is it enough? We don't know yet. Suppose as many people create characters in the 24 hours before and after launch as I have done so already. How quickly will you be able to add new servers? This is a very good question, because at first they wanted to wait for the other servers that they released, like Stalag, to fill up before they would release other realms. So it's a very good question. We have a contingency plan in place, bringing up an additional realms quickly if needed. We may also integrate character transfer. This ultimately becomes service in original WoW. Okay. As you can imagine, it's difficult for us to gauge how many people will come to play Classic and stay on to experience max level content. Kick, Wara, kick, my man. This is the big question here. It's difficult to gauge because, obviously Blizzard is in the right position to tell us this is how many people we plan to have, and this is how many realm we want to release for that amount of players to play on. But even for them, it's difficult to gauge. But from a player side, they are underestimating the number. The numbers vary by a very large amount, but at the same time, and stay on to experience max level content. This is a completely different numbers from the amount of people that will be logging on launch day. Ultimately, we want to see realms with healthy, stable populations, so we'll try to match demand without inadvertently creating a low population realm in the process. Okay. That's the thing. If you release too much, you run into the problem that you're gonna have a lot of realms where there's not going to be a lot of population. And this is a very detrimental to the whole aspect of the game, where you want to have a sense of community, you want to be able to play with other players, you want the world to feel alive and such. So it's gauging it is going to be very hard. And I don't think that neither Blizzard nor the player base will have the right number. I think it's going to be, I'm pretty sure the player base is underestimating the amount of players that will join, and then Blizzard is underestimating it. So I think that we will both end up not having the right numbers. Alright, holiday events. Hi, one of my core memory from Classic WoW was Halloween holiday events. Man, the holiday events in World of Warcraft are the best things. I still remember, it was the Midsummer Fire Festival when I first started playing the game. That was very nice. It was fantastic. Just to have something that attach or that links the real world with this fantasy world is very nice. Just having something that you can relate to in game. It's winter, it's almost Christmas. Let's have something in game that reminds us that it's Christmas. I know I got introduced in 1.8, its model was a bit different from current, like Trick or Treat was given by Innkeeper with 1 hour cooldown. Yeah. I remember my experience on the private server where I did the Trick or Treat event, and yeah, with the 1 hour cooldown I was like, what the heck? Because in my memory, it was not as long. As this and other sorry about that. As this and other holiday events are quite soon from now, like 1 to 2 months, can we expect it being live? Sorry about that. Can we expect it being live with old functionalities? Trick or Treat, yes, because we're based on a 1.12 data. Yes. Holidays will play out as they did during that patch. That's a funny way to, as they did. So we look forward to spooky treats and happy haunts this October. That's nice. Okay. It's a nice thing to add on top of all the rest. You have the community, you have the leveling, which is amazing, you have the dungeon, you have the dungeoning, you have the raiding, the RPing, and then you have the Trick or Treat, and you have the holiday events that are just another layer of success. War first event will be Headless Horseman. Yes, this is going to be amazing. On the 31st, that's going to be 2 months into the launch. After launch, I should say. So that's going to be very nice. Most of us are going to be level 60. Definitely. There's still some people that will be enjoying the game and just taking their time, which is absolutely fine, but Yes, I'm definitely looking forward this Trick or Treat event and the Headless Horseman with all of that. I mean, it's going to be very nice to see it, and for some people to live it, and for some other people to relive this experience of the holiday in Classic WoW. So it's going to be very fantastic. When you went through some of the old code, man, I don't know what I ate, but that is giving me a burst like this. But sorry about that. I'm also in the allergy season, so sorry if I'm breathing a little bit heavy. It's just I'm taking my medication, but man, it's sometimes it takes a little bit of time to take an effect. So sorry in advance. When you went through some of the old code, did you find any work that really stood up and you couldn't believe they achieved achieved what they did back in 2006? We went through some of the old code. Did you find any work that really stood out and you couldn't believe they achieved what they did back in 2006? From senior engineer on Grows. I found old code that stood out because I wrote it back in 2005. You know what? That's really nice that you see that Blizzard went back and took some of the devs that were there back in the days to really make sure the game is as close to what it was back in the day in 2004 to 2006. So it's really nice to see that, yes, On Grows is the one that wrote the code back in 2005. So, I mean, that I think was one of the big things that Blizzard did for the community, just making sure that the game would work the way it did, or as close as how it did back in the days. Because, I mean, let's be honest, those, I don't know, web developers, software engineer, and all of that, back in the days, I'm pretty sure have a very different way to see things than those that are now working on the BFA and the other expansions. So, man, imagine that. You work on something, in 2005, whenever. Then 15 years later, 14 years later, almost 15 years later, you get back to this, and then you relived, or you rediscover what you did, a part of the work that you did back 15 years ago. I mean, that must have been a very nice feeling. What I am most impressed by is the longevity of our code base. We don't toss out old system just to rebuild again from scratch. Yeah, it's very important. Imagine if they had to rebuild all the game from scratch. I mean, that would be crazy. We mostly take an evolutionary approach, which is to say we improve and extend systems as far as they can. When code systems do reach an overextended point, that's when we try to refactor our common components and pay down tech debt. On the engineering side, the technical decision we make should be done in service of delivering great gaming experiences. Some technical stuff. Most impressive engineering our code base. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, when you build a game so big like World of Warcraft, I'm pretty sure like one of the main thing is, like he says, the longevity of the code base, just making sure that everything runs well. When we talk about coding and stuff like that, I have it just really base information about what it is, but I can kind of understand that, if it's a blueprint to making sure that you can build a very nice and big mansion, you already obviously want your blueprint to make sense and to be, foolproof. So, I mean, that's very nice that they're using some of that old coding, old system, but they can really expand its how would say they extend the system as far as they can while keeping it as original as possible. I think that's very nice. But before I say some bullshit, because I'm not too used, let's get to the next one, which is rather than game system, like often classic hall, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm curious to see on the opposite. Did you encounter any legacy code that made you go, how did it even work? Or could you elaborate? Okay, no, he didn't answer that one. Okay, on to the next one. During the development of Classic, did you stumble over any Easter eggs or secret that the community never discovered? Very nice question indeed. I mean, this is one of the things that makes Classic, it's a game that goes through the ages and it never changed. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of us still have the same excitement, even more excitement than we did back in the days, just because, the base on which, or the bases on which the game is standing are so good. They're so well developed. It's just a work of art. And I mean, why are we still appreciating the Mona Lisa hundreds, like 1,000 years, no, not 1,000 years, 500 years, yeah, 1,000 years, I'm boosting there, but 500 years or so after it's been created? I mean, a lot of it, there's mystery around it at the same time, but still, it's the principles are there. I mean, it goes through the ages, and I think that's a very nice to see that. I mean, there's still things that we don't know. There's still things that we haven't discovered. Apparently, there's still at least one quest that was never completed by the whole player base. That's what I heard from a member of the Classic WoW.live community. I don't know where it is. I don't know which one. Was it a quest that was picked up and never turned in, or was it a quest that was even never picked up? I mean, because, and I was talking about this the other day with Grace for Days on one of his stream. I mean, when you think about all the flavor that there is in the game, I mean, has somebody ever tried to go around the whole world while dead? Maybe you can see other NPCs that you can only interact with when you're dead. I mean, there's one in in the middle of the Black Rock Mountain. When you die in Black Rock Depths, for example, you get back in the middle and then you need to run back to the instance. Well, there's one NPC that gives you the quest for the Black Forge key. You can only interact with him while you're dead, and he gives you a quest that you can only pick up when you're dead. There's another quest, I think it's only Alliance though, I'm not sure, but for the Videre Elixir, you need to go in Feralis, you need to talk with somebody and blah blah blah, but eventually you need to go back to Gadgetzan. And just outside Gadgetzan, there's a graveyard. Sorry about that. And in that graveyard, you see there's like a grave that's special. Then you use your Videre Elixir and then you die, which is it's quite surprising at first, but then after you do it a couple times, you realize that you want to go naked and then die, so it doesn't it's not damaging any of your armor. So if you're Alliance and you see the Videre Elixir, you're on the Videre Elixir, Videre, I think that's how you would spell it, Videre Elixir quest. Remember that when you're at Gadgetzan's graveyard, remove all your gears before you drink the elixir. Well, then you get from the graveyard. If you're facing Gadgetzan from the graveyard, you go to your right, which is you go north in the mountains, and then there's another NPC that you only see because you're under the effect of the elixir and you're dead. Then he gives you a quest. You talk to him. It's just like a turn-in quest, and then he tells you, go back. So then you go back to the graveyard. Then you res from the spirit reser, and then you see that there's I think that's when you see that there's a grave that's not like the others, and boom, you turn it in, and then it brings you to another quest and so on. But that's already two instances where you have NPCs that can give you quests while you're dead. So I mean, we were talking about that, and Grace for Days brought up the point, like, has anybody just been running around the world, the whole world, in caves and stuff like that, while dead, just to see if there isn't any other NPCs like this that can give you quests? So that's what I really love about the game. There's so much depth to it. I mean, you learn so much from your class quest. You learn so much by just reading the text that appears when you get a quest. For most of us, it's the instant quest just to say enter, because we're just getting up to the next, to the next, and to the next because we're used to the game. We've already been through that period of looking around and smelling the roses. But if it's your first time playing the game, definitely read. Maybe not everything, but if you are getting a quest and you enjoy, for example, you can just read the quest lines or the quest that you get in your starting zone. You're gonna learn so much more, and you're gonna be so much more attached to those quests, because you'll realize, oh, I'm going to kill some trolls, or I'm acquiring whatever, just Winterfall beads for helping with this little NPC that has been rejected by his clan for blah blah blah. You'll get a more intimate connection with the whole world. So definitely do that. And another great thing, when you get like books, or when you get items like books that you can open and that you can read. For example, in the Alliance quest line, it's the what's the name? It's the one where you need to kill the dude in Sentinel Hill. What's the name? The Legend of... No, not the Legend of Stalvin. It's the other one. Anyways, you end up realizing that NPC that's like level 30 elite that just fucks you up if you're not aware, and you're level like 20 something in the Sentinel Hill, so just west of Duskwood. You realize that man, first of all, is the dad of one of the NPC in Ravenhill. Not Ravenhill, but what's the name of it? God, not Sentinel Hill. God damn. Duskwood Vanilla. Man, otherwise it's gonna bug me. In Darkshire. God, how could I forget this? In Darkshire, you realize, I bet there's a quest which completing will teleport you to WoW. Yeah, to the Blizzard headquarters. You're just like, yeah, what am I doing here? Yeah. That would be actually very nice. You discover like the hidden code, or you discover the Ashbringer, which is a weapon that is in the database. I'm just going to show you real quick. The Ashbringer is in the database, but it's not... Boom. There are not the corrupted Ashbringer, but the actual Ashbringer, which is maybe... You never know. That could be sick. But yeah, I mean, you discover that this man is the father of one of the... I think she's the commander of the Night Watch. And then at the complete end of this quest line, you get a book, which is the story of the dude, and you realize that he was like a noble man, maybe like even like a paladin or something, I don't remember, but I mean, he went to war, or he went far from his family for an extended period of time, and then when he came back, I think it's in Ravenhill before, because there was like a little town before it was overrun. But then you read through the book, and then you realize that his wife and his kids, they got murdered, and when he got back, it drove him mad, which is why he turned, he just disappeared, and then or I think he went into the graveyard, and he was just like being boom, boom, boom. He went mad, and then you realize, oh, I mean, there's so much more to this elite character in Duskwood in Ravenhill than you might think if you don't read the book. So all those little flavor items, I mean, I keep them. It's not more Grain's name, but man, it's bugging me right now. But I mean, there's so much depth to game that's very amazing. But Back to the question. During the development of Classic, did you stumble over any Easter eggs or secret that the community never discovered? From senior game producer, when we were going through the original source code, we uncovered a few inline developer comments. It was super interesting to read them, like messages from the past. One of the most colorful comments I enjoyed was a reference to adding spells. Whatever you do, don't get them wet. An 80s reference to 2000 discovered just before the 20s? Wow. I don't really get it, but hey, Ashbringer, a hunter weapon. We all know that any weapon is a hunter weapon. Any weapon is a hunter weapon. That's why they got their nickname Huntard. Along with this, kneading on everything and ass pulling with the pet, but, you know, we still love hunters. I mean, I'm going to be playing a hunter, but I'm not going to be too much on the tard side. One of the most colorful ones that I enjoyed was the reference to adding spells. Whatever you do, don't get them wet. Is it me that doesn't get something? But, maybe if it's like a reference, a niche reference, I might not get it. Because, you know, French-Canadian and for English-American stuff, maybe it's something that I don't get. But whatever you do, don't get them wet. It makes me think about something, but I think it's I can't say this. Okay. Will in-games GM be a thing again? I hope so, man. That was amazing, man. I don't know if you ever had the opportunity to talk to an in-game GM, but I remember back in the days. I don't remember. It wasn't Wrath of the Lich King. I don't remember why, but I think that I had a problem. Kinda kinky stuff. Yeah, exactly. You get me, Wara. You get me. But it's better to keep this stream PG because I don't want to get flagged for anything. Especially on YouTube now. Whoo, you know they're getting pretty fussy about stuff that isn't for little kids. So we'll keep it for little kids. But I don't know if you've had this experience in the past where you had to talk to when you had the opportunity to talk to like chat. What's good, peeps and freak? Hey, what's up, Pogren? Hope you're doing well. Just while you're here, I didn't get the chance to answer you in Discord because I was away. So, but I'll answer you on Discord as soon as I can. Okay? But I got your message. We'll be able to talk some probably on Wednesday, just to give you a little heads up. But yeah. I had the opportunity to speak with the GM, and you know they've always been doing a very good job of making sure, hey, we'll make sure your problem are solved. I mean, is there anything else you need to be done? And I mean, it's the typical. If you ever are meeting a GM, you have to ask them a GM joke. I mean, this is the common courtesy for a GM, you know, one-on-one chat, you know, and with the pink whispers. I don't remember what the joke was because I mean that was like almost 10 years ago, but I remember that I laughed. So it's very nice to see, you know, it's not just this system where you report a bug and then it goes through a queue and then there's a bot that goes through. Okay, what is it? Okay, you need to be unstuck. Okay, what is the name of the account? Okay, I'll just / unstuck the person and you know, after like whatever 2 minutes you're unstuck. No, it's always nice to have a human interaction in pretty much everything, and I think that's something that our generation and the generation that is following us are starting to lose. You know, just having everything instantly fixed by computers and stuff. So I hope that GMs will be a thing in Classic. Work has be bored out. Yeah, man. I feel you, Pogren. Since the very first day of August, I told me, okay, it's the release of Classics in 26 days. I'm gonna get this, and this done. What have I done? Maybe this, and this. Like, there's so it goes so fast, man. It goes so fast, and I feel like I'm working all the time, every day. I mean, but we'll make it through. We'll make it through. Especially since you think, okay, for like 2 or 3 weeks, it's not time to make videos. It's not time to, it's time to grind. It's time to level. It's time to hit level 60. So, let's just go through, good lord, I hope so, yo. Real GM, please. In-game GM, please. Seeing one to the barons, turning people into giraffes and critters. Oh man, I've never had that. God, that was epic. I freaking bet. I got shot up in the air and. Can you imagine that? You're just like boom, you're knocked up like 200 yards into the air, and you're just like, oh, that's a very good view from here. Ah! Oh my god. Yeah, it has to be with why they aren't around anymore. Leaving private service, expected a bit more professionalism from GMs. Yo, professionalism from GMs. Hey, what's up to the new people that have been that came in to watch? We are going over the Classic WoW subreddit AMA with the Classic WoW dev team on Reddit right now. I mean, I remember on my private server there was. Because I was on the private server Night Haven on the Elysium project, and I was watching Drewstick's stream. If you have been on my server, you know that Drewstick is one of the very well-known person on the server. You know, he's got an ATS, and you know he's always been in the top guilds, and you know he's quite renowned. And I remember I was watching his stream, and he was talking with the GM, and that GM, well, I mean, it was not an official GM, obviously, because it's a private server, but the things he told him, okay, to his defense, I mean, he didn't know he was being, he didn't know Joystick was streaming, even though he kind of, you know, he told him, you know, indirectly, but he didn't know, and the things he told him, I mean, he started to say, oh, you know, the way it's run and blah, 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 it's not really the best thing. And he was pretty much starting to bash the team, the dev team of the private server on stream. And then, you know, Joystick was like, blah, 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 oh, yeah, I'm streaming right now. And the dude freaked out on him. But so I've seen GMs that lacked professionalism, but at the same time, you know, on the private server, it's all volunteer work, so it's not like they were getting paid or whatnot. But I remember, me too, I expected a little bit more professionalism, but we'll see. I hope that we get some GMs, because I mean, GM's jokes are OP. Okay, a big one. Okay, gravy makes it better. Gravy makes pretty much everything better. Herald and Shazra has been specifically named as having extremely long queues lengths over 10,000, man. One of the reason for anybody who's been who just came in, what's up, on the Classic WoW AMA on Reddit, me and the Classic WoW.live community will be re-rolling on Skyrim, which is a new PvP realm that they have just released, along with Blomer on Monday, so yesterday. So if ever you want to play with the Classic WoW.live community, or most of it, I mean the big names like Meldoron, Kargos, Belokari, and the others, definitely reconsider, go to Skyrim. Last time I checked, it was still a low population server, so we might not be in that situation of having to wait like 2 hours on launch day. However, the issue my group is facing is that the length of player and queue tells us little about the expected wait time. With new layering technology and aim reservation, having people logged in for brief periods of time, and many thousands of people in stress test, people in my group are unconcerned about queues. Okay, many think it will be like the name reservation or stress test, where there will be a long queue, but it will move quickly. Yeah, until you're like me and you get kicked out For no reason, because you click enter and then you're like, okay, logging into server, and then you're like, nice, okay, as soon as I can enter, I'm gonna enter, create a character, then I'm good to go. But then I got disconnected, got back into, because I was waiting. I had the screen, I was like, okay, as soon as it goes live, I'm entering Herod. I got disconnected. Then when I came back, disconnected, I'm talking, back to the desktop. When I got back, I was like the 1200th in queue, only for name reservation. So hopefully, it moves quickly, but you're not backlogged like, the 10,000th in line just because everybody is trying to log in at the same time. Because in the name reservation, maybe you had, my guess would be at most 50% of the whole community that was there. At most, I would even say maybe like 35%, 1/3 or so. So even if not everybody has some time off work to log in on launch day, you still have like at least another 50% of the community that will be trying to log in on the first day. So anyways, I'm not concerned about queues. Many think it will be like the name reservation. It will move quickly. Some linked it to the old times when an over 1k queue was normal on some realms, and expected hours and hours of queue time was with a 10k queue. And I would likely consider rerolling if we were expected 4+ hours queue as for an extended period of time, but as a whole they seem to think we'll have a sub 1 hour queues. I mean, sub 1 hour queue, I mean, it doesn't seem that bad, but waiting 45 minutes to get in on launch day, and then every time you want to get back on the realm? I mean, back in the day I was not on a full populated server. Storm Reaver on during Lich King was high, and then it got back to went down to medium pop. So it wasn't too bad, so I didn't get any, I'm not used to that, so maybe that's why I'm like, oh, screw that, 45 minutes for a queue. But for some people, I guess it's not that bad, but, I mean, sub 1 hour queues, I mean, every time you want to get in, it's not going to be like only once, and then you just come in and you're fine. So anyways, as the general public isn't familiar with the layering technology, people are just widely speculating what queue times will be. On the Herod and Chelsea servers, assuming population stays like it currently is, can you provide some rough idea of what to expect the minimum queue time, what you expect the minimum queue will be at launch? Can you elaborate on any way on some of the expected queue length? Probably in length of time at launch. Man, sometimes I think I have dyslexia. I'm trying to read too fast. On the most populated servers such as Herald and Shazra, we're currently estimating length queue times up to several hours. Up to several hours or more? I mean, it's up to. So they're giving you a wide range. Up to several hours or more? Several hours, that's what, at least, it's more than 2. You will not say it's several if it's only 2. So it's at least 3 or more. Yo, it's unless you really don't care about hitting level 60 as fast as possible. I mean, I would say staying on Herod and Shazra is a good thing, because over time the population is going to go down, so it's probably going to go to from full to maybe high. So then maybe the queue times after like 3, 4, 5 months might only be like half an hour, 20 minutes, which is probably like the guy was saying, back in the days, sub 1 hour queues, it's the average. Okay, but I mean, you're telling me that it can go up to several hours or more in certain instances? That is why we strongly encourage players to use the name reservation period to transfer their characters and their guilds to lower pop realms. Holy schnitzel. That's going to be up to several hours or more. I mean, if you don't care, I'm telling you, if you go for the how you say that in English. If you go for the long term, yeah, and you want to have a server that has a very good identity out of all the others, out of all the other servers, then definitely do this. Stay on Herod, just what is it? Bite the steel or something like that. Take the rough hit right now, because if later on you're on a good server, it has a good reputation, the queues are not all that crazy after, definitely do this. On the other hand, if your plan is to hit 60 as fast as possible, start raiding as fast as possible, maybe get server first for MC or server first for a class. You cannot, that's my opinion, you can do whatever you want at the end of the day, obviously, but you cannot allow a queue time up to several hours or more to stop you. Because, I mean, you're not going to be happy with, your friend or any, if you're, let's say you're on Joanna's server. Or you are Joanna, the very renowned WoW player that is renowned for one of the fastest leveling. The guy that can level a hunter as fast. I mean, I don't know if there's other people that level faster than him, but let's take him for example. If he has to wait up to several hours or more on launch day to get on his server, and then you have somebody else that is just as good, or maybe not as good as him, but he has, every time half an hour here, an hour there, 2 hours here of, advantage over him, and he gets to level 60 first. I mean, at the end of the day, we can say it's all fair and square, but it's not fair if you're losing just because you could not get in game versus the other person that just won the lottery ticket and could get in game, 2, 3, 4 hours ahead of you. That's a lot. And like I said, if you're getting kicked from the server, if you're getting booted out against your will, and then you come back and, like I said, you're like the 5,000th person in queue. I mean, that's why I would say, yeah, whatever your plan is, whatever your end game goal is, or your end goal is, I should say, focus on this and then reverse engineer it. If that makes it so staying on Herod or Shazra is a bad thing, then you might consider re-rolling. But that's why the Classic.live community is mainly going on Skiram, because between you and I, screw that. We don't want to stay hours and hours in queue. Okay, this one doesn't have, but this has probably been asked before, but is it possible for you to discuss which way Classic will go in the future? Oh, I want to discuss that with you guys. I mean, it will probably follow the path of its predecessor, or will it have its own expansions that it will go through. Okay, I'm just curious to see if you guys have access to the chat or are not shy to give your answer, but what would you guys prefer? After, let's say, Naxxramas is now on farm, would you want to have extra classic content? Because I know there's some content that was never released in classic. I think because you have a region in the wetlands where, it's like a crescent, and it's bordered by mountains, but you can get to an instant. There's randomly like level 58 or almost 60 elite dragonkins in wetlands. And wetlands, if we all know what zone it is, we all know that it's the level 17 to 24 or 17 to 30 leveling zone or something like that. Like, give or so 20 to 30. I mean, obviously it was intended for something bigger, but we all know the raids. We all know MC, Blackwing Lair, Onyxia, blah blah blah, but we never heard about anything that was taking not taking part, but that was in the wetlands. So maybe there's a lot of things, maybe one or two raids or more dungeons that were never released. So would you like to see that once Naxxramas is being farmed and Kel'Thuzad is not like the big end game boss that we all feared back in the days, but now it's just like, ha, KTZ, yeah, I'm just farming you on Mondays, just in between me coming back from work and me going with my friends. I'm just farming a little KTZ on the side. Would you prefer that? Would you prefer for for history to repeat itself, where we go into the Burning Crusade and then Wrath of the Lich King and blah blah blah? Or would you like classic just to remain classic, and then when it ends, and maybe some server refresh or server not restarts, but they bring up new realms where you can start fresh. Me personally, I would like to see, after Naxxramas being farmed, I would like to see all the content that was supposed to be in Classic WoW at first to be released, because I mean it's going to be new original content with the paradigm and the limits of what it was back in the days, where there was no LFR. You didn't have to make the raid time gated and whatnot. So that would be very interesting for me to see old content. Well, new old content, if you know what I mean. So I would like to see that before anything else. New classic content might be nice as long as it will stay classic. Not interested in TBC and other, really. Yes, like I said, yeah, that would be nice. I mean, the first step before anything else, I would say I want to see everything, release everything from classic, up until all the drawers are empty. Then don't try to make stuff for classic. Don't try to make things classic-like with, input from the modern days. I mean, I would not like to see a 40-man raid that feels like a mythic dungeon, or that feels like a mythic raid or whatnot from today's perspective. I think that would be very bad. And then, once they have released everything that they didn't have the chance to release in 2006, 2007, then, and only then, maybe think about releasing TBC. I mean, not interested in TBC War, I would assume that you played in TBC then. Or maybe you didn't, I don't know, but I heard this is something about Classic Plus coming. Okay, that would be cool. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you played TBC, but I personally didn't play TBC, so I played from Wrath of the Lich King to Legion, didn't play BFA, but I don't feel like I missed anything. Then we go back to the start, and I will play Classic, or it's not vanilla, but still, it's the original game. So I will be missing TBC to say I have played all the expansions up to Legion. So there's a part of me that really wants to experience TBC, especially since I'm a paladin. Paladins are kind of not in a good place in the Classic WoW, although they can be played, but they're not in their final form, if I may say. And then in TBC, they get the buff hammer. It's some of the classes, I don't know how it all works out, but for paladins, they get really nice buffs, and then they can finally play protection. They can finally play retribution more viably. So there's a part of me that would really like for a TBC expansion to re-release after the end of Classic and its extended content, like Classic Plus, like you're talking Wara. But if you release TBC, that's kind of, opening the Pandora's box. Because as long as you're saying, we would just want to remake a version of a game like it was back in the days, and, we just want to release Classic. Classic WoW, that's it. Maybe they will make TBC story. Yeah, that's what... I mean, me and my cousin and my brother, we were talking about that the other day. It seems that they are hinting towards releasing TBC servers, but I don't know. I mean, that's speculation and stuff like that. And sometimes with Blizzard, soon, it's being trademarked for Blizzard, soon. Exactly after TBC Wrath, then Pandas. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you release Classic, okay, that's fine. You release the first version of the game, but then you release the first expansion. You might say, well, it's kind of the Classic expansion because it was the first of its kind. It was the first expansion. But what stops you from re-releasing Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, Mist of Pandaria? Because if you re-release TBC, then you have like 2 WoW storylines, or you have like the original not trilogy, but the original sequence, like retail WoW. But then you have like classic WoW that is following behind 10 years behind. So in like 10 years, when you have like 10 other WoW expansions, if that ever happens, on the classic timeline or the classic aspect of the game will be like at Classic Legion. I mean, where do you stop after that? That's what I mean by opening the Pandora's box. I mean, you can't really put an end to it, because I mean, okay, let's say you say, oh, we re-released Classic TBC and Wrath of the Lich King, because that's in Wrath of the Lich King that it peaked to its most amount of players, I think, or just at the beginning of Cataclysm. I mean, you're kind of, but then after this, you stop your classic experience up to Wrath of the Lich King. But once Wrath of the Lich King has been, is old news. I mean, where do you opening Panda's box? Yeah, there's a lot of people that are hating on Mist of Pandaria and all of that because of Pandas, but they have been in the game since forever. I mean, I didn't really have a problem with it, but it's true that the way they kind of released it, and after Cataclysm, which was kind of a flop, if Cataclysm would have been way better, I think Mist of Pandaria would have been better or more accepted as an expansion, because I remember back in Warcraft 3, the Frozen Throne, you have in one of the campaigns, you have Rexar's campaign, and I remember playing through that whole campaign in one sitting. I was really hardcore when I was young. And you had this little, you had, I think it was Chen, yeah, with his barrel of his keg of stout and his stick, I think, or his staff. And I remember I was like, oh yeah, this one is really dope. How did he say it? Yeah, Chen. In French is tous les chemins sont moins périlleux lorsqu'ils sont accompagnés d'une bonne bière. So, all the paths are less perilous when they're paired with a nice, good beer. That's my own personal translation. But if you've played the campaign, you remember the exact quote. But I mean, he was cool. So I mean, for me, it was all right to see pandas in Wrath of the Lich after in Warcraft. So after Cataclysm, but for a lot of people, they were like, oh man, it's like Kung Fu Panda in World of Warcraft. Oh, it's bad. So, meh. I don't really have any problem with it, but Top Ghost, this is a question that, I mean, most of us have been probably speculating about, but will you offer free round transfers if servers get way overpopulated after launch? This is definitely one of the options that we are considering, but for now we are encouraging players to use the name reservation period to transfer. Yeah. I mean, right now, obviously, there's no reason for name changes, because you can just swap it out yourself. But yeah, I mean, I think that's I think the best way to do it, because they have been doing it in the past. I remember for the longest time in Wrath of the Lich King, there was a section in the Blizzard store where you could buy some of the character services and whatnot, the game services for name changes and whatnot. You had one tab where it was character transfer, and you had paid transfers and free transfers, and it was always the same thing. You will have a free server transfer if you go from a high populated server down to a lower populated server. So it works, downwards but not upwards, obviously. So I think that's, like he said, it's one of the options that they're considering. He cannot say yes it is or no it's not, so it has to be kind of I'm giving you a little bit of information while not giving you the final answer, but I'm pretty sure at like 90% that this is what we will be having. Will pay transfer also be a thing should server drop heavily in population and a player wishes to move to find more activity or reconvene with friends on another server? Oh, are paid character transfer no change? I mean, was that a thing back in the days? I don't know. I would personally don't mind if, you know, like you said, you want to go from a less populated server that you thought would grow and it didn't, and then to transfer. We're considering integrating a character transfer service once players have reached higher levels. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to pay for a character transfer at level 10. That kind of makes sense. It was available in original WoW. Okay, I didn't know that. Now we'll look at the rules we impose at the time and also discuss the implications of players moving to a new realm. Belief server realm identity is an important aspect of Classic, so any guidelines around transfer should support this belief. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with that. You know, as long as, like we said, you know, it's like it was back in the days when they're not trying to make some more squeeze a couple of more bucks just to try to milk the player base even more, like they've been trying to do with the freaking mounts and BFA. I mean, don't get me started on this because I mean I want to get through this here. It's already been an hour. Okay, it's 4:30 p.m. EST right now, 4:35. Half an hour, okay, guys. If I'm not done, let's see. I'm just gonna give you the AMAs right here for you guys if you want to access it really quick, more easily. So, yeah, I have about half an hour left because then I need to do some other stuff. I need to work on some launch preparation and whatnot and some videos for you guys. So I won't have that much time. But if we can go through all of it, I mean, I'm gonna stream tomorrow, and I want to stream every day up until launch, so we'll have time to get back to this. Blah 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 blah. PvP transfers, yeah. That's going to be a problem. Can you allow a PvE character to go to a PvP server and whatnot? I don't think so. I don't think it would be a good idea. Will there be paid services for Classic? Oh, we aren't considering other services beyond character transfer at this time. Yes. At this time, yeah. Oh, begins to sweat nervously. Blizzard, Activision Blizzard being Activision Blizzard. I hope that at this time is, you know, it will end up just being. We're not considering other services beyond character transfer period. Fortunately, only time will tell, but I hope not, because that if you can change your name that easily and people cannot track you so easily, I mean, it kind of goes against the fact that you want to make a reputation for yourself in Classic WoW. If you ninja loot someone and they don't have you as a real friend ID where they can see, oh, he just changed name, but it's the same motherfucker. If you change your name every time and you just keep ninja looting people, it kind of goes against. I mean, who would do this? I don't know, but you know, some people are weird. Some people would be doing this. I mean, you might say like, oh, come on, you're probably exaggerating, but maybe not. Some people are they're gonna try to squeeze every inch they can on you if they can. So I hope that, you know, name transfers, appearance transfer, and I mean, at the end of the day, just make sure your character looks the way you like. Pick a good name, and you know, you shouldn't have to change anything else, because I mean, then you're like, oh, they'll start monetizing it even more, and maybe it's a good thing to make it more popular, to make sure that, you know, for the investors, you know, we got the numbers here for Classic WoW, so we can go even further with the next plans for the expansion or whatnot. But man, I hope the subscription and the player base will be enough to make Activision Blizzard realize, okay, that's a good game, that's a good franchise, that's a good IP. It's the same IP, but you know, it's a re-release of an older version, and that it's going to do well. Has the reception of Classic met or exceeded expectation, as there are far more people coming back for Classic 1 than expected, or were you guys right within the predicted ballpark? We've been blown away by the response to Classic WoW. What was the guy saying? You think you do, but you don't. Disrespect, man. Disrespect. But anyways, we've been blown away by the response to Classic WoW. I mean, was that supposed to be a surprise? No, it's a good game. Especially compared to what you're releasing right now. It's day and night. The passion from the community is exactly what got us working on this in the first place, and we see new signs of your passion and excitement every day. Man, I'm doing things that I've never done in my life. I'm making videos, I'm making stream. I know I'm not like the best streamer right now because I'm still getting used to some stuff, but hey, I'm loving it. I'm enjoying the fact that I get four people watching right now. That's amazing. For me, for my second stream, I was expecting like nobody to join, so I'm loving it. And the passion for the game makes me do things that I never thought I would be doing. So yes, absolutely. We're very excited to make it a reality for all of you next week. So I would assume that it was more than they expected, yeah. Some of us have been asking it for over a decade. Some of us left after Wrath and never looked back. Seriously. I should have stopped after Wrath, but anyways, I was young. Young, dumb, and broke. Well, maybe not that broke, but young and dumb. Anyways. For the gates of AQ, I have a question if it's not exactly this. For the gates of AQ event, are you guys keeping the resources and amount? Okay, it's exactly the question I wanted to ask you guys real quick. And amounts the same for turn-ins as we, or can we expect you to have a few trick up your sleeve to prevent stockpiling prior? Personally, I prefer the latter version as it seemed more in the spirit of the event. What? Okay, we'll see the answer, and then we'll talk about this. Okay, hashtag no changes. In all seriousness, one of our core pillars is to recreate the original experience as authentically as possible. This will extend to the required resource for AQ. More effort. Okay, we realize there is nothing we can do to unwind the knowledge gained over the years. What we do have control over is ensuring that World of Warcraft actually master apps. Okay, because that's a big question. Because that you'll need, I'm just blowing, just throwing numbers, but 5,000 runecloth bandages, 10,000 copper ores, and blasting powder and whatnot beforehand. People are going to stockpile prior to the event. So, I'm pretty sure that on the big servers, like on Herod and Shazra, if it stays, the biggest servers, I'm pretty sure the gates of Anchorage will open the day that the event is released. You can even quote me on this. I am 95% sure. I'm leaving 5% out just for, you never know. Life is always unexpected, but I would say it's on a server that big, like with tens of thousands of people on it, maybe like even 100,000. I don't know how big the servers can be, but it's going to be open the day of the event. Personally, I would have liked, back in the days, it took about 2 weeks or whatnot, up to a month to open the gates of Anchorage. I would have liked the game to go, okay, you already stockpile enough for the completion of the original AQ War event. We're gonna, increase the numbers to make you wait, maybe a week. So if you have already, 100,000 resources, we'll make it 1 million or something, I would have liked to see this, but at the same time, I kind of understand that hashtag no changes, and there's nothing you need to unwind the knowledge gain over the years, which is why even though people want to relive the experience they had when they were younger, it will not happen because we already know what's going to come out. But at the same time, we can use this to our advantage. So, the only thing that they have control on is ensuring that World of Warcraft Classic matches as closely as possible to the original. A little bit something that I would have preferred to be different, but hey, At the end of the day, it's if I if this is one of the only things that I complain about, it's going to be fine. It could have been worse. Okay, I'm gonna go, not reading everything because there's only like 15-20 minutes left. On certain private servers, unsure how this worked back in the day, we would only get locked to an Onyxia ID if you were inside the instant when she died. This means 30 people could hard out when she was at like 0.5%, and the loot would only have to be split between the remaining 10 people. This trick allowed you to clear multiple times per reset. Pretty possible back in the day, as per this tweet. And will this mechanic be present in Classic? Will it be considered an exploit if it is? Onyxia, this is not possible in Classic. All players who were in the instance will be locked. Okay, yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, because then it's kind of on the verge of exploiting, even though it's kind of a fine line. I think it's better just to go with the safe bet that, you got in, you'll be locked just like it's intended to be. I don't have any problem with that, personally. Okay, what exactly are the pop cats for a layer, and extrapolating from that, what are the server pop thresholds roughly indicating? What makes a server low versus medium versus high? That's a very good question. We're not releasing specific numbers that will likely change dramatically. Based on the response we got from Name Reservation, we're anticipating large player population for somewhere else. You're not answering the question. This may change as players switch to lower. Okay. We'll use layers to help improve in the short term for large. We hope to reduce. Kind of didn't answer the question. Okay, I thought layering made whole continents, not small area, and if that is the case, then spreading out won't really help it, unless you mean spread out over different servers. Players being spread out will still reduce server load, even if they're not all connected to the same server, not sharded. Basically, the more spread out players are, the fewer players there will be on their screen at any given time, which greatly reduces the network traffic requirements to a degree, the processing requirements too. Okay, but that's what we wanted to know, exactly, just give us some numbers, like, there's about 10,000 per layers and whatnot, because yes, it's going to change from server to server, but anyways, okay, we go over blah 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 blah, man, there's a lot of text. That's what I like to see, If I'm going through all of this and I'm, struggling to find the next question, is because it's a good sign. There's a lot of activity. 3.2k upvotes. There's a lot of people going over that. Okay. What was a conversation about completing content finish? Okay, yes. Was there a conversion about completion? Yes. Shara's creator BG. I didn't know about that before, a month or two back. I mean, I always wondered why Ashara was in the game, because from an Alliance player's perspective, I don't know if the Horde is different, but from an Alliance player's perspective, Ashara is only there for like 4 or 5 quests, and it's a big zone. So I never understood why that zone was in the game up until I realized, they had planned for another BG that was called Ashara's Crater, because apparently there's like a sort of entrance or something like that. There's like a pillar, or there's something in the environment that is a direct indicator that there was going to be a BG there. Stormwind Vault, I don't know about that. Ironforge Airfields. Yeah, it was just decor to make Flight Pass more interesting. Yes, that was. Mount Hyjal, yeah. Grim Batol, Old Ironforge, Mount Hyjal Dragon, Karazhan Crypts, Like I said earlier, this is what I'm talking about when I talk about that Wara was talking about in the Classic Plus. You know, release everything that didn't have the chance, Grim Batal, Mount Hyjal, and stuff like that. I would like to see this before anything else. Let's have an answer. Yes, to one day diverge and finish all these quest scenarios. That would be... oh no, I didn't want to do this. Okay, this one has an answer. Okay. Hello, I think there's generally some misunderstanding within the community in how and why the layering technique works in WoW Classic, and seems to me the general consensus is that because of layering, servers will take in a massive amount of players, which puts doubts in the players' mind that the very popular servers will be able to handle with Phase 2 without it. Yeah, is there going to be enough players once Phase 2 hits so that the servers won't be able to run without layering? I don't know about that, but my understanding is that layering is mainly a tool to alleviate the player experience in overcrowded zones, not to fill up servers infinitely to avoid queues. Could you reiterate and clarify this in the current version? Sorry, caps and only... okay. I'm still going to hack... Do you guys want this one to be the last question that we answer, or do you want this to skip? Give you a couple seconds, if you're not answering, I will skip it. But if you guys want, I don't have a problem with reading it, because it's going to take the rest of the time for the next 10 minutes. Because we're going to be closing in on a 1 hour and a half of streaming time. I have other things to do. Okay, I'll give you 10 more seconds. If there's no answer, I'll just skip it. Because like I said, we can always come back. We're a little bit past half of it. We can always come back to it later. Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow I want to stream. Probably longer this time, but we'll see. Okay, I'll just skip it. Like I said, you guys can always check in the chat. I'll just relink it if ever you guys are curious if you want to go and read it by yourself. Okay. Hey team, thanks for being a part of bringing Classic WoW back to us. Additionally, what are plans for Phase 2 if some realms are horrifically overpopulated at 50k plus players? Will layering stay? We have many large-scale events we want to coordinate, but layering is preventing us from doing this without tremendous headache. Grandma really wants Grobless merch. We do have some awesome design. Okay. We're absolutely committed to reaching 1 layer per realm by Phase 2. That's why we need to have upper bounds on the number of players connected to the realm at one time and queue players past that point. That, of course, is why we're willing to open new servers if necessary, and we've even started doing that in response to the incredibly positive reception. Okay. So, that's a good thing. That's a very good news right now. We're absolutely committed to reaching 1 layer per realm by Phase 2. I think this brings, relieves a lot of pressure and stress off a lot of the player base. This is very nice, but yeah, what's going to happen after? They're already incentivizing players to go to smaller realms, but at the same time, by Phase 2, who will cherish the idea of changing realms? You got most people are going to be level 60. They might not want to change. They'll be accustomed to the environment, the player base, and and they will be accustomed to seeing the same old people at the same time. Whenever they log in, they know that this person is going to be trolling chat at 6 p.m. up to up until you go to bed, and then if you log in a little bit earlier during the day, you get this other person that is running dungeon, and that's very chill. Will they want to leave that atmosphere after Phase 2? I think it's going to be a lot harder to get people to change realm after, but that's my opinion. Here, there's no answer. Blah 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 blah. Lots of text. I'm liking it. Okay, long answers. Okay. With so many of the classic servers being full already, I have a few questions. Okay, how long it used to be we consider to be an acceptable queue login? What steps do you have in mind? Okay, pretty much the same question. What can we expect? We've answered this question in more detail in other posts, but I'll summarize the answer for you. Based on the name reservation, we've seen the queue time on some realms will be extremely long. We've opened up additional realms. Okay. About 10 minutes left. I just want to make the most out of it, guys. I think one of the biggest questions I see flying around the community is what state Molten Core's loot table will be released in. In Phase 1, will the raid only drop items added to Molten Core before patch 1.1? Wait. In Phase 1, will the raid only drop items added to Molten Core before? Okay, in Phase 2, will it only drops items added to Molten Core before 1.5? Or will it have the 1.12 vanilla Molten Core loot table from the start? For me, some of the fun of clearing a dungeon is exploring the loot as you go, but for those who want more information, the drop tables are mostly from 1.12. Okay, there's a significant exception to that in Phase 5 when relics are added to the drop tables. Yeah, that's going to be... To me, it's more important to really make a big difference between 1.1 and 1.5, for example, in terms of loot, than 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. When they were originally added in patch 1.10, they affected drop tables significantly enough that simply removing relics from the drop table until Phase 5 wouldn't be sufficient. It would have had effects on the drop rates of other items that we didn't feel were acceptable or authentic. So for the specific change to item drop, we did reproduce the same boss drop tables from the previous patch. And then before Phase 5, the affected bosses that have 1.9 will use 1.10 drop tables. That change doesn't affect MCO or NXCO very heavily, so you will expect those drop to launch in a save very similar to their finals Phase 6 state. Yeah, I want to give it all away, so I'll leave a bit of exploration and discovery here. Okay. The gamer happy. So where is the dev team? The AMA was from 1 p.m. EST to 3 p.m. EST, so I had some work to do. Gamer happy, so I couldn't stream it. So right now it's done. So this is like the resume or the summary of what has been, well, not the summary, but the full length of what has been discussed. Fortunately, yeah, I couldn't be there in time. It would have been nice, but hey, you know, we do what we can with what we have. Does this pertain to raid bosses or to 5-man and 10-man dungeon bosses as well? I think people were expecting item gating, where blue quality catch-up gear from 1.10 wouldn't use it in dungeon until Phase 5 to avoid warping raid difficulty. This does apply to 5-man dungeons as well. We gated specific item jumps when it made sense to do so, and if those removals affected the drop rates of other items in a significant way, we used the rest of the drop rates from the previous patch to compensate. In fact, most of the changes in Phase 5 will be changes to 5-man dungeons loot table. I'm just trying to figure out why is so many people streaming some text from subreddit that anyone can just read themselves. Well, I mean, it's part of the culture, man. You come and hang out with people, you get their opinion in real time. I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, if you just want to read it yourself, you can. But I mean, just being in a little hub with other people, and you can discuss the changes, and I can get your input on some answers and stuff like that. That's what it's all about. But yeah, I mean, yes, I mean. You could read it all by yourself, but I mean, at the same time, I think it's more fun if it's in community. When creating Classic, was there anything specific your team thought was going to be incredibly hard to accomplish that turned out to be a lot easier than expected, or vice versa? One of the biggest benefits of having worked on a World of Warcraft continuously since the beginning is that I have a strong grasp not only of how our game and server system worked originally, but how they change over time, so I can't say that there's anything incredibly hard. On groans, man, straight OG. The process mainly involved the constant iteration comparing Classic to our 1.12 reference and making fixes and adjustments when we found differences. On a side note, I identified old bits of code that I wrote as a young engineer. Like I said earlier, man, imagine that. You created a game. You helped create a game 15 years ago. Then 15 years after, you're one of the main core people that are working on, just getting the dust off that wonderful artifact that you dig up. And then you realize that, hey, I remember creating this aspect, man. Is surely a very nice feeling. I fought hard to resist the urge to clean and refactor it in places it was not technically needed, because at this point it's been production hardened for 10 plus years. Yes. So thank you all and blah 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 blah. Okay, 5 more minutes, guys. I'm extending it a little bit because it's 5 p.m. but 5 more minutes to hit the 1 hour and 30 mark. Okay. So, what are your plans for server reset days? Will it align with the retail reset days? Tuesday and Wednesday EU. That's a good question. Have you thought of having separate days? Okay. The raid reset points have been restored to their original 1.12 values. Classic operates as part of our general World of Warcraft infrastructure. Our goals are to minimize service downtime and maximize availability. Yes, this is what we want. In some weeks, we might not need to take realm downs for maintenance. Cool. How does that work with honor calculations? Were they always done in downtime? When restoring the honor calculation code, we rewrote it so we can work it while the game is live. Oh, perfect. Realms do not need downtime for honor system updates. Cool. Thanks for doing the phases will be simultaneous. Okay. Has the intro exceeded our expectations this far? Blah 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 blah. Y'all are doing such a great job. Thanks for all the work. Okay, that's just not very right. Will we should maintenance downtime the morning after launch? We are not currently planning to maintenance downtime for the morning after launch. Yes, because I want to play as much as I can in the first days. What is the intended player cap for dungeons? I did some testing on the stress test open. When the stress test was open. And could you... Oh, okay. The dungeon cap bug is simple. Thanks for the question. This was indeed a bug that was fixed. Blah blah. Lower level dungeons with up to 10 players as well as the original. And there's some dungeon that had specific caps by the end of the original WoW, however. To be specific, all lower level dungeons available through Marrow Dawn should have a player cap of 10, with Blackroot Depths, Colomans, Stratholme, and Darmall being capped at 5 players. The NK should also have a cap of 10 players. Okay. Is there a last very cool question we could go over? Hey, Dev, saying a little how you plan to handle quest hubs like Thorium Point, Silitus, Gentle Allure, and those all the later phase quests. That's a good question. As mentioned earlier, we want there to be some exploration discrete to this, so I can dig super deep into exact specifics around the individual quest items and blah blah blah. Painting in broad strokes, however, Thorium Points and Agenta Allure quests should be available during Phase 1. Most quests in Scenario on whole will be available during Phase 5 along with the AQ Gate opening content. The general methodology was to make quests, recipes, item, and the like available when it makes sense to do so. Okay, so there are some quests, depending on which one they are, that are going to be available right off the start, and then maybe other ones that will be released when it makes sense to do so. It's nice to see that they're using the brain, you know. They're not just using the wallet here. It's not like, oh yeah, how can we make people pay more? No, start with the money, Blizzard. I mean, you already have a lot. I mean, just try to make it a piece of art, you know. Try to make it something that will stand the test of time. Because Classic WoW has already stood the test of time. There's a reason for this, so that's cool. You know, they're doing it in a logical way. Okay, spell batching. Spell batching seems to be causing problems with AoE abilities, such as people being able to run over Hunter's traps and is going off, or running through Mage Blizzard spell and not getting hit or slowed by it in many other AoE abilities. Are there any thoughts about lowering the spell batching delay for another way? This is exactly not related to spell batching traps and AoE abilities. Check for the presence of targets during a heartbeat update. If the target moves through them between 2 heartbeats updates, it will not notice the target. This is how it was in the original 1.12. Interesting. Okay. That would really be frustrating if you're a hunter. You're like, okay, he's gonna wrap in my freezing trap. Ha ha ha, sucker! What the? You stepped over it and it didn't work. And you're like, run. That would be funny. What does success look like for Classic WoW to the dev team? I think that this is going to definitely be the last question. I'll have to go after this. By the way, thanks to everybody that joined in, and thanks to the 3 people watching right now. You guys are the best. So, what does success look like for Classic WoW to the dev team? Success for us is that players enjoy the game. Yes. That's a good answer right there. We hope that those who played back in the day are overcome with nostalgia, great memories, and reconnect with old friends. We hope that new players get to experience the iconic time in MMO history and experience the world with new friends. Ah, man, that feels so good to read. I mean, after everything, after the you think you do but you don't, after the release and then all the problems that have been, on Earth with the launch day coming closer and closer, I'm pretty sure good stream. At least you weren't getting by level 17 hunter like other streamers. Oh, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get ganked when I stream my leveling content. So, but thanks for the kind word, Wara. And yes, I'm gonna be streaming though when I am going to level from 1 to 60. So I might be, but yes, today I was I was saved from the ganks. But I mean, man, getting ganked by a hunter. Okay, but getting ganked by a rogue, bruh. Bruh, getting ganked by a rogue, it's the worst thing. So, yes, after all this, we are finally 6 days, guys. 6 days before the release. Man, this is absolutely fantastic. So, before we wrap up, before we end the stream, I just want to remind you guys, the original plan was to be on Herod. If anything was wrong, we should be on Thalnos, and then if all hell breaks loose, it's Fairbanks. Take all of that, put it in the trash, because all of the servers are already full or high in terms of population. And yesterday, they released 2 new servers, Bloomer. I don't know how you would pronounce it in English, but in French it's Bloomer. PvP server on Pacific time zone, and then Scaram, the one and only Prophet Scaram, PvP Eastern time zone. This is the server that me and many members of the Classic WoW community, the ClassicWoW.live community will be rolling on. So if you want to play with me, if you're Horde and you want to gank me, and you just want to make my life miserable, that's fine. You will find me on Scaram, which is, the last time I checked, it was still a low population server, so that's a very good thing for launch. I mean, just less than 1 week before the launch, having it, low population is very good, because it's probably going to go up to medium, and medium high in between those, I think, would be a nice sweet spot where we don't experience some cancerous queues, and at the same time we can still have a very nice and alive server. So, Scaram, PvP Eastern Coast, this is where you will find me. This is where you will find all the ClassicWoW.live community members. And before you go, I'll put in my plug. If you are looking to be ahead of the curve when Classic WoW launches, if you want to make sure that you get the most out of your leveling, definitely check that out. ClassicWoW.live/leveling. I'm posting it in the chat. It works for both Alliance and Horde. You choose your faction. You choose a group if you want to do solo, duo, or trio leveling. Let's say you want to do trio. Okay, you're going to be a dwarf, paladin, a gnome, warlock, let's say, and then another gnome warlock. And then, boom, start leveling. Then it will tell you what to do at what point. So it's a very awesome tool. You guys should definitely check it out. That's all I have to say, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. we will see us tomorrow. Hopefully, I want to stream every day up until the launch to help build some hype, answer your questions, and connect with the community. So to all the people that have been coming in the stream, you are awesome. Thank you very much. You will see a lot more from me in terms of video and streaming. I'm still working on my Twitch channel because right now I'm still new to streaming, but I want to be able to stream on both Twitch and YouTube. So I'll work on this in the upcoming days. So I'll see you guys soon. Until next time, guys. Have a good one. Stay blessed.